Good morning and welcome back to the Toyota Alphard campervan. I've made a couple of changes to the van which I thought I would share with you. The first one is this little picture here. Do you like this? Which is a photograph that I took in Poole when I went down to see Imperial Leisure Vehicles, who made the changes to the van, and I had that picture made up by Photobox and I think it looks quite nice. So one of the changes I've made, well, this might be of interest to you if you are thinking of getting a Toyota Alphard or a similar vehicle and then having it converted into a camper van, and you might benefit from some of the lessons that I might be able to give you. And the first one is around about heating. Now, when I first got the van, I didn't really know too much about heating. And I was thinking I could get a power bank, and then I'd get a small portable heater like a fan heater or something like that, and then I'd be able to heat the van that way. After a certain amount of research, I found that wasn't really practical. Yes, when you're on a campsite and you're on an electrical hookup, then you'd have sufficient power to run a fan heater or some kind of oil-fired heater or whatever it is. But if you were off-grid, then that wouldn't really be possible. And although I don't, I'm not going to live in the van, I'm not going to spend vast periods of time off-grid, I would like to try a bit of wild or stealth camping. I've been watching quite a few videos by Life is Too Short in their little red camper van, and I've really enjoyed watching their videos, and I thought, well, I'd like to give that a try, but if I'm going to do that, I'm going to need some heating. So obviously what a lot of people do if they have a diesel vehicle is have a diesel heater fitted. I wasn't aware that if you've got a petrol powered vehicle you can have a petrol heater fitted, but in fact you can. And again, as I say, you may already know this, but it wasn't something that I knew. So I went to see Imperial Leisure Vehicles. I really should have done it when I got them to do the initial conversion, but I hadn't made up my mind then, so I had to take it back. It wasn't a problem. They just had to fit in the heater and fit in the wiring and so on and so forth. And it is a petrol powered heater, and there is a warm air outlet which is just down below here by my left foot. I won't show it to you because it's just it's just an outlet for warm air, but it certainly works very effectively. It wasn't particularly cheap, but I would highly recommend it, because if you're going to use the van for what one of the key things I wanted to use it for, which was to go out on some day trips with my wife and just sit in the back with a cup of tea, well, you're going to have some heating, and there's no two ways about that. So now I've got some nice heating. The other thing which I probably should have thought of in the beginning but didn't, well, actually that's not quite true. I did think about it but didn't quite decide on it, and that was to have a solar panel fitted. Again, of course, if you're on an electrical hookup and you're powering up you're charging your leisure battery while you're doing that, that's fine. Obviously you're charging your leisure battery while you're driving, but if you are going to be spending not significant amounts of time, but if you are going to be spending a bit of time off-grid, not connected to an electrical hookup, then having that additional charge from a solar panel I thought would be beneficial. So when I took the vehicle back to Imperial Leisure Vehicles to have the petrol powered heater fitted, I got them to fit a solar panel as well. You can't see it because it's on the roof above me. They do say to me, and again you may know this, I wasn't particularly knowledgeable about these things, they say it doesn't need sunlight to work. It will work with daylight, and it will work under a street lamp. So it also comes with a Bluetooth app on my phone which shows the charge going into the two batteries, which is always really nice. So if you're bored in the van, there you are, you can open up your app and you can see how the charge is working. So those two things, or the three things if you include the picture here. I've also put up a cargo net, and I will move the camera here just to to show you, and this is a little cargo net here, which is kind of designed to be bolted to the wall. I didn't want to do that. Tried with some suction cups, and I don't know if your experience with suction cups is anything like mine, but they didn't work. So I've got these kind of Velcro sticky pads. They're reasonably secure, although how secure they'll be when I start putting stuff in here and pulling out the cargo net, of course, is another matter altogether, but I suppose we'll see. The other thing which I may have said when I did the initial description of the inside of the van was that the table that they provide me, which fits in two places, and again I'll just move the camera for you, you can either fit it on this rail here or on this rail here, but the brackets they had fitted to the table fitted onto this rail, but they didn't fit onto that rail. So just moving the camera back so you can see my lovely face again. Sorry about all the shaking and the moving around and the banging there. So now the table fits properly on that rail, so that element is done. I'm very pleased about. The other thing that I've got, and again I'll move the camera for you, sorry about this, let's just move, let's imagine this panning round like this, like a proper cinema panner, whatever that means. So we're just moving it round, and now you can see out of the front of the vehicle. That's not particularly interesting. Let's just turn that around so I can see. So we're going to point the camera down like this, and you can see, I think, this thing that you can see here is a kind of fold up box thing with two compartments, and it fits absolutely perfectly between the two front seats, so that will be useful additional storage. So at the moment what you can see in there is a load of suction cups which come from the window covers that you saw in one of the previous videos. So that's panning up, and we'll just pause it there. Now the other thing that I've done is in relation to bedding. Now when I first got the vehicle, of course this seat, this rock and roll seat that I'm sitting on, folds down to make a bed, and it actually folds down electrically, but of course you've then got to sleep on something, and you've got to have something to keep you warm, either a sleeping bag or a duvet or blankets or whatever it is. I went for the duvet, and I'm sure you've seen plenty of videos about the duvet, so I'll probably include that when I first go out in the campervan and actually sleep in it, assuming that happens sometime this side of the next millennium. But I'm sure you know what a duvet is and how it's supposed to work. But just in brief, it's a kind of combination thin or thin-ish mattress with a kind of duvet on top of it, a bit like a sleeping bag, although it's not a sleeping bag. Perhaps I do need to do a video about it, because if you're not familiar with it, that description isn't really very effective. Anyway, the plan would be, and it is actually over the back at the moment, fits in there nicely so that when I lift up the tailgate it then falls out onto the ground, but currently it's in a plastic bag, and I'll probably kind of drape it over here like here. As I've seen in Life is Too Short, they use that as a kind of they use their kind of duvet as a sort of cushion for the seats when they're sitting on the seats, and then sleep on it when they're sleeping in it. What else is there to tell you? I've done a couple of day trips with my lovely wife Jane, and it's been a fabulous vehicle to drive. We haven't actually sat in the back yet and had the famous cup of tea, because I've got to be honest, right, I haven't connected up the gas tank, and you're going to think, oh Julian, come on. But you know, small steps into campervan life, so I'm taking it gently, taking it easier. But I do love the vehicle, I've got to be honest, I do love the vehicle. So it's not an advert, but just because they were the people who did it. It was converted by Imperial Leisure Vehicles, who are down in Poole. Martin Goff is the name of the man down there, and you know, so far I've got to be honest, I've been very pleased with the work he's done. I've been very pleased with the customer service. I've been very pleased with all aspects of it. So, all right, we had the little issue with the table, but you know, these things happen, and they resolved it very quickly and without any complaint. So, a little update there on the Toyota Alphard. I am hoping to get out on it for a few, at least day trips, which I plan to film over the Christmas period. So make sure you stick around, and thanks for watching. See you next time.